This is the last show that I have no tape trader version of. Hot Stuff is actually going to start the show by giving my every week spiel.
Official.StreetSmarks is how you want to contact us. Official.StreetSmarks on IG. Official.StreetSmarks right here on YouTube. Or the Goofs. ECW Memories on Facebook. So we're doing the January 24th show. And before we get into that, you might want to do the real opening spiel, because I have a feeling I just mangled that big time.
The time of this show was 45 minutes.
That's right.
And overall, formation of the triple threat. So
No, I meant the emails and all that.
oh yeah, I'm not doing that. Oh yeah. We're running just like this.
All right. Fuck it.
Yeah, formation of the triple threat. So that's a thumbs up. They beat up a horseman. So that's a thumbs up. The network music brings the show down to thumbs in the middle, though.
Yeah, that's one thing. But thankfully, I don't know if it's thankfully, but I've just gotten used to it, I guess. I don't know if that's good or bad. So, Hwoud, as already stated, it's 45 minutes on the network and shit. So, Public Enemy opens in a video. They outside of a train. It looks like they're trying to get to Florida. Johnny is very reluctant to climb aboard.
They look like complete hobos.
They do look like hobos who found 2 championship belts. For some reason, they're hating on Superman. They need to keep my name out their mouth. They're showing more clips. The whole thing lasted about 4 minutes. It was grueling.
They got the stolen ATM cards. So they were going to take the train, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think, who had the stolen ATM cards? I think Johnny did. Mm-hmm. And he got the stolen ATM cards from Johnny Pots and Pans.
That's right.
Last mentioned Extreme Retro Review number 63.
It's been a while.
It's awful. This whole thing is awful.
Thankfully, the show mercifully opened.
Oh no. Let's bring it back real quick.
Oh,
let's talk about Rocco Rock's hair.
Oh, his wildly out of control extensions.
It's in braids.
Right.
Obvious extensions. Mm-hmm. So man wearing weave. Red flag there.
Not terrible.
They look like 2 fuckwads.
Definitely.
And the way they sound is completely annoying.
It's super annoying, and I don't know why they are being pushed as hard as they're being pushed. No clue.
So they beat up some jobbers in an extended music cut while they're going on the way to Florida. They might as well put the fucking, the map of America and just and just did the line. Right. You know what I'm saying?
That'd have been more entertaining.
Exactly. Yeah. Because the shit that with them just beating up random jobbers set to their terrible network version of hip hop music.
For 4 minutes.
It's completely awful.
For 4 minutes.
And then they finally get to Florida.
And Joey greets us from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
You're just passing over how awful the Public Enemy was in this whole cold open. No. We need to bring it back again. They do more fucking vignettes in front of the Superman shit, right?
Yeah.
I called them loser and moron. More vignettes, more awful. They start burying Sabu, and then they point to a clown on the wall of this big fucking mural, and they're burying Sabu, calling him a clown and shit.
See, I was trying to spare all our audience all of that misery.
No.
Hwoud is the Scourge of the IWC for a reason, and he doesn't love you all like I do. So yeah, but yeah, everything he said is, it was something I didn't want to relive again because it was very brutal. Again, I remind you, all of that, 4 minutes, and it felt like 4 days.
And then it went into the awful theme, so it was like another minute of suck music, suck music, suck music, suck music.
But to me, that was mercy. It's like, cause I was used to that, and I just, you know what I'm saying, it's like anything.
It's like the audio. It's like the audio version of the Human Centipede.
First, well done. Second, moving on. So we got Joey greeting us from some gym in some random gym in Fort Lauderdale. They say the name, but I missed it and I wasn't going to rewind it. We have a double main event tonight. It's Cold Scorpio versus Chris Benoit in a revenge match. Cold looking to get a little payback on one half of the mini midgets and shit. I'm sorry, one half of the mini muscle. Is what I'm trying to call them, not to be disrespectful. They're the mini muscle for Shane Douglas, it appears.
Also known as the Crippler and the Shooter. And
the other half of the double main event, we have the ECW World Heavyweight Champion and the last member of the collective and most influential stables of all time, Hot Stuff International, the franchise, Shane Douglas taking on former WCW and first black heavyweight champion of the world, Ron Simmons. I instantly forgot if this was for the title or not. I think it was for the title. Okay, Hwoud nodded yes, so my mistake for not writing that in my notes. So they cut to the finish of the Bad Breed versus the Pit Bulls, showing Bad Breed breaking up and Pit Bulls going over and all that other shit. You know what I'm saying? If y'all listened last week, y'all know this already. If you didn't, check out last week's show to get the full review of Pit Bulls versus the Bad Breed. And then breaking up after that. So it's one half of the main event time. We got the Crippler, Chris Benoit, versus Cold Scorpio. And thankfully, the Scooter, Dean Mastinko, is nowhere in sight. Hwoud, looked like you wanted to say something.
It was Cold Scorpio in singles action.
Oh, you noticed. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, man, yes. No mentions of Chris Benoit on the WWE Network. Ever. So, yeah. So they cut to the match. We doing this... doing one half of the main events first. They start out with some real intense grappling and shit. Like it's some of the most vicious collar and elbow tie up in that you'll ever see. That's one of the reasons why I respect Benoit, is because, you know, say he might be small and shit, but like, you know, he look like he'll fuck you up and shit.
They were gunning for H.M. Defer's American collar and elbow title.
Oh shit! Yeah, hell yeah! Oh shit! This is why you need to listen to the Week in Wrestling, everybody. Oh shit! All right, so yeah, that's definitely what they looked like it was going for and shit. So they have some back and forth going on and shit. Each one exchanging the upper hand and shit. There was one point in the match where they was cut to one angle, and I could have swore I saw Cactus Jack in the crowd. Any chance that around the 13-minute mark you happen to notice?
Didn't notice it.
Oh man.
My omnipotence was not omnipotenting.
When you're either editing this or listening to this in your leisure, go to this episode. This is the January 24th, 1995 episode. And go to somewhere in the 13-minute mark. Let me know if you see Cactus Jack in the crowd. So while I'm sitting up here trying to analyze and see if this is Cactus Jack in the crowd and shit, I hear a fan shout, "Kick him in the balls, Too Cold! Kick him in the balls!" I'm like, did I just? So that I rewinded. And apparently I didn't need to do that because dude said that shit like 3 more times. Kick him in the balls, Too Cold! Kick him in the balls! That was the first side of the kick him in the balls! So at this point, while I'm hearing this shit, Benoit had the upper hand, but I guess Cold Scorpio, Earth 37's champion, 16-time wrestling champion and wrestling icon over there. Shout out to y'all, Doofus Fooge and Too Cold Hollywood and shit. But I guess Cold Scorpio, fueled by the hate of this fan's disdain for Benoit's balls, he starts to mount a comeback and shit. And at one point, to the delight in myself, and it gotta be to this fan, obviously, because there's a spot where Benoit ducks down, Cold Scorpio hits the leapfrog, back kicks Benoit in the balls. Crowd pops. I pop. I'm like, oh shit, because especially after you hear a motherfucker rooting for, I guess he had to be sitting by the mic, but you hear it for a motherfucker to like, he wants nothing else but for Cold Scorpio to kick Chris Benoit in the balls, and Cold Scorpio delivers. But he doesn't stop right there. So after that, he gets Benoit down on the ground, spreads his legs, leg drops him in the motherfucking balls. I'm losing my motherfucking shit. I'm like, I'm laughing my ass off. I'm hooping and hollering and shit. So, but like a motherfucking infomercial where the niggas with the, wait, there's more. So for all the people who are really into seeing people get their balls destroyed and shit, for good measure, Cold Scorpio, I don't know what you call this shit, where you drop the motherfucker between the legs on the top rope and shit, straight on their balls and shit. But he ball dropped this motherfucker and shit. I'm gonna call it the New Year's Eve and shit. He gave this nigga the New Year's Eve and shit. The only thing that I was waiting for was I just knew he was gonna post him after that, but I guess he figured 3 shots to the balls was enough and shit. That should have been the end of the match and shit. But you know, Cold Scorpio, part of his gimmick is, you know, saying like to pull people's shoulders up and shit.
Terrible.
Drives me crazy and shit. Then it looked like it was a spot where like this. So Cold Scorpio starts off like he's about to do the tombstone pile driver. Chris Benoit reverses it and shit. And like when he goes down with the pile driver, like it looked like he gave 0 fucks about Cold Scorpio and shit. Like I watched that shit like 10 times. Like if Cold didn't throw his hands down at the end, like, cause you know most niggas and shit, they hold on to the motherfucker and shit or whatever shit. Like Cold, like he must have felt it like, oh this nigga this nigga think this shit real. So he just brace. Like I'm surprised he didn't break his wrists and shit, cause like Crippler, he tried to put Cold Scorpio on the list, in my opinion, and I think that's kind of fucked up, for real. But nevertheless, Cold Scorpio, the savvy veteran and the 16-time champion on Earth 37 and shit, got his hands down. They have a bunch of I said it was a tombstone pile driver that would make Owen Hart smile. So after a bunch of near finishes and shit, Benoit gets the win after falling down on top of Two Cold Scorpio. Basically, what that looked like, so Styles tried to save it by saying he was attempting a dragon suplex or whatever, and Scorpio countered it, but Benoit, it looked like he just fell down on top of Two Cold Scorpio, and that's where the match fell flat for me, like Benoit fell down on Two Cold Scorpio. Your thoughts, my brother?
Two Cold Scorpio selling is trash. Match was completely forgettable after that fuck finish.
Oh man.
2 stars, crippler for the dub.
It was a good match that should have been great, and that shit fucked it all the way up, all the way to hell and back. So we got Joey back. He's hyping the February 4th show. He runs down some of the matches on the card. We have the Crippler Chris Benoit versus the Snowman Al Snow. We have Mikey Whipwreck versus Paul Loria #2, which just looks like this is going to be a pretty decent rivalry. We'll see. We have Ian Rotten versus Axel Rotten. I don't know who Ian is. Must be their little brother. We have Stevie Richards with Raven in his corner. He's going to be taking on Tommy Dreamer. And we have the winner of the ECW Championship match later on versus someone. It was originally slated to be Tully Blanchard, but apparently he has said he was not going to wrestle.
So he ends up fighting as the new Tully Blanchard.
I'm so glad you spoiled that, because that was having to get built up to that, and then to see that, it was so not worth it. So thank you for not letting the people get tortured, because that was very retarded. And then we have Public Enemy versus Sabu and Taz for the ECW World Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. I'm sorry. And after that, they go to Paulie cutting a promo. I just put Paulie cutting a promo if you wanted to elaborate. Yeah, he's talking shit. And then after that, we have the Extreme Encyclopedia.
So we have Sandman and Woman, and now it features Cactus Jack, also known as Bangus Bangus. He's an earless, toothless freak whose psychotic style and spirit truly epitomizes ECW. Next week, there will be a Falls Count Anywhere match between Cactus Jack and the Sandman.
Oh man. So after and I forgot to make mention of this last week, that I never realized what Raven's last name was and shit. I never realized it was Nevermore and shit. So we cut to the cheese video by Raven Nevermore and shit. One more time, they're showing the shit from the last week, the Say By The Bell shit.
Zach Morris is trash.
But he's really not, but those videos are hilarious. So yeah, they're showing the video. If you really want to know that bad what the video was of Raven from high school, it wasn't really from high school, but that's how it looked. Listen to the review from last week and you'll get the full breakdown. Joey is back. He's not feeling Raven, apparently. He didn't like the video either. He's bummed out that Tully Blanchard won't be there to perform. He won't be there to wrestle against the winner of the World Heavyweight Championship match. And let's see here. And then so they get past Joey whining and crying and them talking about that shit, and they cut to Raven, who's sitting on a swing at a playground at nighttime. He recites another poem for Tommy Dreamer. So, you know, Raven Nevermore, he's really into poetry and shit, because he always says, quote, the Raven Nevermore.
Moving on.
Then, we're moving on to the World Heavyweight title match featuring Ron Simmons, the first WCW Black Heavyweight Champion of the world, versus the ECW Heavyweight Champion of the world and last member of Hot Stuff International, the franchise, Shane Douglas. Ron basically ran through Shane with clotheslines and shoulder blocks and stuff at the beginning, starting off real strong, looking real dominant and stuff. Shane manages to lure Ron into, the ring post, re-aggravating the shoulder injury done to him by crippler Chris Benoit and the schooler Dean Mastenko and shit. So, you know, Shane, being the savvy veteran he is definitely going to attack the weak spot. Shane spends a lot of time working the arm and the shoulder, wearing it down and stuff. Inexplicably, after, I'm cutting to the end here and shit. Inexplicably, after Shane attempts to dislocate Simmons' shoulder by yanking his arm down from jumping from the top rope down to the outside.
Great spot.
While holding on to it, Cold Scorpio hops into the ring like he's this motherfucker's trainer and shit. Where did he come from? Because I didn't see him at ringside at all. But they end up stopping the match. Shane wins because basically they stopped the match. Your thoughts?
Great execution, great psychology. Match ended flat. Shane Douglas stays a world beater.
I thought it was a good match with a crappy ending, but I won't say crappy. I'll say it was garbage. But other than that, I understood why they did it. You know what I'm saying? Don't want Ron Simmons to look too weak, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, need to keep the belt on Shane. But it's all good. After that, Shane gets on the mic, wants to know if any man is man enough to challenge him. Garbage starts to enter the ring, and somehow some fan is strong enough to throw Tully Blanchard in there. Speaking of trash, he takes off on Shane. Does a struggle slingshot suplex. Out comes the mini muscle. Shane locks Tully into a figure four. One of the midgets grab each arm, holding on to it for leverage, and the show goes off the air. My final thoughts were a show that should have been great was just okay. Where the fuck was the Sandman? Your thoughts, Fooge.
I cannot suffer through this network music. Next week, the tape trader version of the January 31st show, cruising in the double tables. Until then, I am fucked up. And life is a work, so make sure you get paid for it. We out. Peace.